Hey everybody, it's Jason.
And Rexanne.
We are working on fireproofing your relationship in a much different way. So those of you who are tuned in to our last episode, this is episode number 2 of The Power of a Praying Husband.
And the power of a praying wife.
And today I'm going to be talking about her work.
And I'm going to be talking about his work.
So if you guys missed it yesterday, this is a book that we're going to be going through for the next 4 weeks. And we are hoping that you guys get the books and go along with us, because the power of husband and wife praying together is just absolutely phenomenal. So we want you guys to share this journey with us, watch us grow, and we want you to jump in there and grow right along with us. So would you like to start, dear?
Sure. And again, please remember we're not reading chapters in their entirety because they're too long. So, there are two extremes of how a man can relate to his work. On one hand, there's laziness, avoiding work out of selfishness, fear, lack of confidence, depression, or apprehension about the future. Of the lazy, God says, as a door turns on its hinges, so does a lazy man on his bed. Proverbs 26:14. Drowsiness will clothe a man with rags. Proverbs 23:21. The way of the lazy man is like a hedge of thorns. Proverbs 15:19. The desire of the lazy man kills him, for his hands refuse to labor. Proverbs 21:25. In other words, a lazy man will never get anywhere. He will never have anything. He will have a rough road ahead, and it will ultimately destroy him. The opposite extreme is workaholism, obsessing over work to the exclusion of all else and losing one's life in the process. Of the workaholic, God says, "So are the ways of everyone who is greedy for gain. It takes away the life of its owners." Proverbs 1:19. I looked on all the work that my hands had done, and on the labor in which I had toiled, and indeed all was vanity and grasping for the wind. There was no profit under the sun. Ecclesiastes 2:11. In other words, workaholism is draining and pointless. Neither extreme promotes happiness and fulfillment. Only a perfect balance between the two, which God can help a man find, will ever bring that quality of life. Makes total sense. I mean, it's really common sense when you think about it. And the rest of the chapter talks about how you, as the praying wife, can help your husband, if he's lazy, to find his passion and to find work that he enjoys, and work where he's appreciated. And if your husband is the opposite and he's a workaholic, you need to do things at home for him to help him have downtime and recover from all the work he does, and help him enjoy his time at home, and encourage more time at home and less time at work.
I can give you an example from our life, because she knows exactly what I'm going to say. I don't know if I would call it a workaholic, and it's definitely not greed based. Well, yeah, but it's not
not greed based.
No, it's not greed based at all. It's that I can get so intently focused on what it is that I'm doing that I literally don't even think to stop and eat and do things like that. And so she's really good about coming in and breaking my stride in a productive way, to keep me focused. But she's also really good when she knows that I really need to have, I really need to focus on this, and I really need to get this done because it's important. She's really good about shielding me from distraction and making sure that she creates an environment that's really conducive to me getting the work that I need to get done. And we're really blessed because she doesn't have to work outside the home. I don't have to work outside the home. I mean, the business that we're in allows us to to work really closely together day after day, and that's really great for us because it helps us to grow as a couple and work toward the same goals is really great. So she really is good where I'm weak in that, and she does a good job with that. So just to give you an example of what's in this book actually does play out in our life, because I get ridiculously focused on things, and she helps me out with that.
So tell me about her work.
Well, it's really interesting. The first the first paragraph in this book is, I don't know if you guys know this or not. If you're married, hopefully you do. If you're planning on getting married, study up on this. But Proverbs 31 is a blueprint for what a biblical, godly wife is supposed to be. And I'm going to go over some of that with you. The perfect woman, according to the Bible, is a hard worker. This woman creates, manages, and provides. She buys and sells property, like maybe a real estate agent. She plants a vineyard, gardener. She makes clothing, a seamstress. And she sells it, a retailer. She is a woman of strength, energy, and vision who works into the night and knows that what she has to offer is good. In the midst of it all, she takes care of her family, gives to the poor, and makes her husband proud. She is blessed by the excellence of all that she does. Proverbs 31. If this is what your wife aspires to, she needs your help. Frankly, I am exhausted just reading about it. So, for those of you out there who have wives who are professional moms, housekeepers, and stuff like that, and you're out in the world slaying dragons, don't think that she has it easy. And for those of you out there who has a wife who is a professional mom, wife, cook, cleaner, all that, and she goes out and slays dragons, she really needs your help. And that is part of your job to do that. Every woman works, but some are more appreciated for what they do than others. Many wives work because they want to contribute financially to the family. Many work simply because they enjoy what they do. Others have abilities that are valuable to people who are willing to pay for them. For many women, maintaining a home and raising children is their work, and they take it seriously and want to do it well. For other women, ministry opportunities or volunteer activities are their work. No matter what the particulars of your wife's work, it gives her fulfillment and the satisfaction of accomplishment if it makes life better for her, her family, or someone else. But she needs your prayers and support. Don't be hesitant to encourage your wife to be all that she can be in her work. It won't mean that she will no longer need you when she's successful. In fact, quite the opposite. It will cause her to need you even more. If you support your woman in prayer, she will not get arrogant and cocky when the blessings roll in. She will not think, "Look how great I am. I don't need him. Why? I can do it better without him." That's what women think who are married to men who don't encourage and support them in prayer. Your wife will never become so complete that she doesn't need you. Her success will never undermine your position in her life. It will elevate it. Your prayers will mean so much to her that she'll become addicted to them. Remember, the two of you are one, and what happens to her happens to you. You need never feel intimidated by her success. I know that there are guys out there who, if their wife was more successful to them, it would be like you took a sword and cut them off at the knees. Right? These type A guys, you probably knew some of those in the car business, right?
Yeah.
Right? Here's the deal. If you are doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you're praying your wife up, and your prayers are being manifested in her success and her rising to the top of whatever career path that she chooses, that's something you did through God. How could you not look at that and go, "Oh, that was a win"? Right? I mean, that's how you have to look at it. You got to put your big boy pants on and look at it for what it is, and not get upset because maybe your wife makes more than you do, because that is greed. And that is one of the cracks that the enemy uses to get between you and your wife, and he uses the tension between you and your wife to get between you and God. So you really, if you're of that mindset, you really need to take some evaluation time and figure out how to get beyond that. But I have a list.
Oh, well, let's hear it.
Well, I'm going to give you some seeds, some ideas of some things that you could pray for your wife in terms of her work and her career. Please pray for your wife that she will glorify the Lord in her work. She will do her work well. She will be respected for the work that she does. She will be compensated well for her work. She will have strength to get her work done. You will approve of her work, and her work will bring fulfillment to her. Now, I mean, if you
Wow.
if you didn't do anything other than pray for that, so many problems that people face in their marriage would really be gone. Because financial problems are the noted cause for about 78% of divorces that are out there. I got to think those people aren't doing a lot of mutual praying about careers and finances and stuff like that. Because, I mean, these are good things. Do them.
That's a great list. Go husband. This book does a really good job of uniting. Even still, if there's only one doing it, there's a lot of unity. But it just is amazing to me because I didn't know what was in your book, and I'm amazed. I mean, that's great stuff. And I mean, I thought my book was great, but now that we've added your book, I'm like, wow.
Don't covet your husband's prayer book.
I'm not. I think it's a great addition. I want to say too that we had a conversation just a couple of days ago about prayer, and we don't really talk a lot to each other about our prayer life. And Jason started to share with me a conversation he had had with somebody else, and he said, I told her that, I pray for my wife all throughout the day, and I was like, wow, yay me, yay husband, because I had no idea. And I said that because, be careful how you do it, but if your spouse doesn't know you're praying for them, I mean, that is one of the best gifts you can give them. And if you want to say something that says, I care about you, tell your spouse you're praying for them every day. Because it was like Valentine's Day all over. And that's how important it is. And so share with your spouse about your prayer life. And if you don't have one, get one.
Exactly. We're trying to keep this down to a time deal, and we're still not very good at it. So as we go through this, if you guys watched the first season of the Fireproof stuff, it was really rough and it got better. So this is going to do the same thing. We're really trying to watch the clock, and we don't have a really efficient way to do that, but we're going to get that done. So I'm just checking to see how much time we have. One of the cool things about this book, and I don't know if it's geared this way because it's written for guys, but it has a section called Power Tools, which I thought was kind of cool. But basically, what it is it's some scripture that you can use that applies to the stuff that the lesson in that book and stuff. And so I'm not going to read all these, but I'm going to read a couple of them that I thought were meaningful to me anyway. And the first one is Proverbs 10:16. The labor of the righteous leads to life. Now, what that means to me is life is everything, right? And I'm one of the people who is fortunate enough that I actually love what I do. And that's why I can get laser beam focused and I can do it without quitting. And it really is true that if you find what you love to do, you don't have to work a day in your life, because it's not like work. It is a pleasure to do what you do, and then you get paid for it, which is really amazing.
No. What did he say?
He's going to destroy the world.
My father said that one day, if man continued in his ways, the Creator would annihilate this world.
Can it not be averted?
He speaks to you. You must trust that he speaks in a way that you can understand.
I saw water. Death by water. Now I saw new life. A great flood is coming. We build a vessel to survive the storm. We build an ark.
Mother! What is it? What? Them!
What do you want?
You don't know your king.
There isn't anything for you here.
I have men at my back, and you stand alone and defy me.
I'm not alone.
It begins.
When they come, they will be desperate, and there will be many.
Take the ark!
I see how hard this was for you.
Remember, Noah, he chose you for a reason.
Is this the end of everything?
Beginning. Beginning of everything.
We just attended a funeral recently of a good friend of mine who really rejected what God had put in front of him. Earlier in his life, he accepted it and started doing the things that he needed to do. And later in his life, he just really abandoned it and went in a complete different direction. And his life was a direct reflection of that defiance, because there was really a lot of short-lived success and a lot of long-standing anguish that he went through. And I firmly believe that that's because, he rebelled against what God had put in front of him as his path. The more time Rexanne and I spend focusing on the path that God has put in front of us, and doing these videos with you guys is a huge part of that, the more fulfilling and the less like work my life becomes. The lighter the burden financially, the lighter the burden emotionally. I mean, it really becomes effortless. So if you're struggling out there, if you're in a dead-end job, if you're doing something that you hate, I encourage you to spend some time in quiet contemplation and ask for God's guidance in what you're supposed to be doing. And when He reveals it to you, have the faith and the courage to grab it and run.
I want to touch on this just a minute. In my book, they mention the correlation between people whose parents prayed for them seem to find their life's work early. I'd never really thought about that before. But it makes sense. If you're praying, for your child all along the way, throughout their life, you're setting them up for success, which means they're going to know what they want to do when they grow up, and then they're going to take the bull by the horns, I guess is a good way to put it. This says they don't live with the frustration and aimlessness that others do. While many parents have an agenda for their children, not enough of them seek out God's plan for their children's lives. So if you're not praying for your children in that way, I encourage you to do that. That really helped me. That was something that I was not doing, and now I am. So, this chapter was about work, and it even got to a place about the work of your children. So it's just such a well-rounded each chapter is so well-rounded, and it touches on more than just the original topic. So,
Well, and think about if there is tremendous power in husband and wife praying for each other, think about how much amazing power there is for a husband and wife praying for kids. I mean, it really becomes something that is amazing and powerful and dynamic.
well, not only that, but the example that you're setting for your children. So,
Right. I mean,
you can't go wrong.
right. You're teaching them early on the secrets that that it takes some of us half of our life to learn. So that can only be a good thing.
Right.
As always, guys, we absolutely appreciate the fact that you tune in and you've stuck with us through all of this. This is a great adventure for us. We are learning with every step right along with you. We want you to have the best of your life.
And start today.
Bye.
You prayed and believed your whole life, and here you are. Explain that to me.
What do you say to people that are offended by your show because you pray to Jesus in every episode?
If we disown him, he'll disown us.
When a 12-year-old watches his mother dying of cancer, a God who would allow that is not worth believing in. Life is really a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury and signifying nothing.
I am Professor Radisson. This is Philosophy 150. I would like to bypass senseless debate altogether and jump to the conclusion, which every sophomore is already aware of: there is no God. All that I require from each of you is that you fill in the papers I've just given you with 3 little words: God is dead.
Mr. Wheaton, is something wrong?
I can't do what you want. I'm a Christian.
If you cannot bring yourself to admit that God is dead, then you will need to defend the antithesis.
So your acceptance of this challenge may be the only meaningful exposure to God and Jesus they'll ever have.
See, to me, he's not dead. I don't want anyone to get talked out of believing in him just because his professor thinks they should.
Mr. Wheaton, are you ready?
God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, roaring like a lion.
Science supports his existence. You know the truth. So why do you hate him? It's a very simple question. Why do you hate God?
God's not dead, he's